Can Hollywood movies help us learn more about history? I would say yes. Nothing brings history to life like the big screen. Popular movies increase interest in history and contain a lot of accurate information. But the producers of these movies often ignore the facts in order to tell a more interesting story. Unfortunately, the movie industry doesn't always paint what life is really like because the audience wants a show, not pure reality. So you have to know their history pretty well to know where the truth ends and the lies begin. With that in mind, let's dive into some movie myths about history that you think are true. Welcome to Story Time. Number 10. Pocahontas first met the colonists when she was a child. We believe that the main character of Pocahontas is a mature lady. Even the question of whether she was the one who saved Smith's life is up for debate, as Pocahontas first met the colonists and John Smith between the ages of 10 and 12. Number 9. Hygiene wasn't that bad in the Middle Ages. Maybe you've seen a medieval movie where an ordinary person is covered in pus and black. It is true that health is not as good as it is now, but Hollywood movies paint it much worse than it really is. Number 8. Armor is routinely portrayed in movies and television shows as far less effective than it was in historical reality. Quite frankly, there is no sword in existence that can realistically penetrate plate armor. If you swing a sword at someone in solid plate armor, the most you'll do is dent it, and even that will only happen if you happen to be extremely strong and wielding an extremely large sword. Number 7. Dinosaurs had feathers. In the 1990s, the first dinosaur fossils with feather-like features were discovered. Then came further revelation. According to some research published in 2011, all dinosaurs probably had feathers covering some or all of their bodies, similar to how all mammals have fur, although not all mammals have fur. While the first dinosaurs are thought to have appeared around 245 million years ago, the feathered dinosaurs only date back to 180 million years ago. Number 6. People didn't live only to 30. How many movies can you name that feature old and wise medieval characters? Although it is widely believed that those born in the Middle Ages only lived into their 30s, this was not always the case. Disease, high infant mortality, lack of modern treatments, plague, and famine have all contributed to reduced life expectancy. However, that doesn't mean you die the moment you turn 30. In fact, assuming you make it through infancy, you can expect to live between 62 and 70, which is a pretty average age. Number 5. The hair of women was not left loose. You may have seen Victorian or medieval films about women with long hair, but this is not the case. In fact, women covered their hair, braided it, and pulled it back because long hair was considered indecent and a sign of immorality and seduction. This is especially true for married women. Unmarried women and girls were allowed to let their hair down a little, although this was unpopular even in Victorian times. Number 4. Battles weren't all that epic. Honestly, we've all seen the movie where the leader of the warriors gives a speech to the warriors before the battle begins, but that's not true. In such a situation, with the presence of tens of thousands of men, how could his voice be heard? Smaller armies had battle speeches of this size. With bigger armies, the generals would speak to their men in blocks or send out messages, but this wouldn't look as epic on the big screen. Number 3. Knights didn't go around kissing hands. The empty hand kiss became particularly popular in some countries until the Victorian era. In fact, there have been mixed reactions to this move. Some people consider it playful and others consider it inappropriate. Number 2. Spartans actually wore armor. Because of movies like 300, we usually think of Spartans as sporting belts and capes. They might have given up their armor eventually, but certainly not at first. In battle, a Spartan soldier or hoplite wears a large bronze helmet, cuirass, and ankle guards, and holds a bronze and wooden round shield, spear, and sword. Spartans were also known for their long hair and red cloaks. Number 1. At the time, neither Braveheart nor the Scottish wore kilts. Anyone who has seen Braveheart knows that the Scots wear kilts, but it was another 300 years before before the kilt was invented. Unfortunately, Braveheart has a number of historical errors, including the absence of Sterling Bridge in the on-screen Sterling Bridge battle scene. Honestly, Hollywood also convinced me that if you're a good guy, you can't be killed with one shot. Enemies fell one after the other, while the main character survived most of the time from injuries. If you like the video and are interested in the history and other interesting facts, we welcome you to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos.